And
I'd like to call the order of this Village Hebron Combined Council Committee meetings. Today is June 18th, right now, 6 p.m. I would also like to ask you to stand if you are able to, for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It does not appear we have any visitors, but we have the visitor comments.
okay.
No. Roll call, please, I'm sorry.
Mr. Wolf,
Yes.
Mrs. Stoner,
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter,
Yes.
Mr. Nauer,
Yes.
Mrs. Chapman, Mrs. Porter.
Yes.
Okay, any legislation that will be, presented to the, village council at the next meeting. The first one is resolution 25-13. A resolution authorizing the mayor of the village Hebron, Ohio, to execute an agreement with MI Homes of Central Ohio LLC to enter into a development agreement for Hebron lending. It will be third reading. Resolution 25-14, a resolution accepting the bid of Wind Waste Innovations of Heath Incorporated for the village refuge hauling, awarding the contract and authorize the mayor of her agents to enter into an agreement with Wind Waste Innovation of Heath Incorporated for refuge hauling services. It will be the second reading. Ordinance numbers 07-25, an ordinance to adopt a source water management plan and to submit the same to the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency, EPA. It will be the second reading. Committees. The first one is a Public Works Committee. Any updates? Okay, thank you. Finance Committee. None. Economic Development Committee. President Wolf. No. Police Committee. The chair, person not here. Water and Wastewater Committee. But we will have the drinking water protection meetings next Wednesday at 5 o'clock. Yes. Personnel Committee.
I have no.
I'm going to turn this over to the mayor on the following topics.
Thank you.
How about now? How about now?
There you go.
All right. I'll use my algebra voice. So I just wanted to give some updates and that's my. I'll use my dog mom voice. So with regard to wage and benefits, we have talked about, I know since I've been attending out even in the visitor seats, we talked about making sure that our wages and our benefits are competitive, but also reasonable and well placed given who Hebron is, because we're not exactly like our neighbors to the south. We're not a city. We're not Granville, we're not Buckeye Lake, but we're Lockweedy. And so one of the things we talked about, should we have our person who does our HR try to assess that? Or should we have an external organization do that type of review? One of the conferences I attended this year was the Ohio Local Government conferences, and in that conference, the state auditor presented something that later at the Buckeye Lake Chamber full pool morning, they framed themselves as the Ohio Doge. So their goal is government efficiency, Department of Government Efficiency, and they talked about at the local government conference and also at that event about coming in and reviewing information about how we do our work and who we are and what utilities we offer and what services we give to our residents. And then telling us how to be more efficient, telling us, you know, how competitive our wages are and those types of things. CFO Morgan attended that with me, and we heard from their presenter that just a basic analysis is anywhere from $50,000 to more. Now, I was a little more skeptical when we saw the second presentation, and I said, well, have you ever thought about giving us the work and then letting us pay you back out of all the money that you save us through efficiency? Well, you can imagine that the state of Ohio thus far has demurred on that opportunity. But we are still having open dialogue about it. So who knows, maybe 5 years from now, that would be an option. Since then, we've also had a very productive conversation with Denison University. They have an actual consulting program on campus. And for $9,000, they can do a full organizational chart, job description, salary and benefit analysis. It will take a group of 4 students a whole semester, plus it will cover the cost of their academic advisor and an actual consultant to work with them through that entire process. And at the end of that, they could give us feedback on organizationally what our structure probably should look like, what our salary and benefits probably should look like, and what our job descriptions should look like. And do they know Hebron as well as we do? No, they don't. Any consultant that you hire borrows your watch and tells you the time. I know this is what I do for a living, right? But sometimes you need somebody to objectively look at your watch and say, yeah, I know it says 6 o'clock, but that's because you haven't set it to daylight savings, right? So all that to say, this would give us an opportunity to make sure that our structure is appropriate and properly funded. So I'm mentioning that to you tonight because I plan on bringing to council that proposal during a meeting. And I wanted to give you time to think about what types of questions you might have of that if you don't have them tonight, obviously. But also give an opportunity for you to reflect on what kinds of questions you might have to make sure that we get those answered as well. I think that as I talked with different folks, there was a sentiment that having an external voice do that analysis felt more comfortable than having an internal voice do that analysis. Any questions at this point about it?
I personally don't know what everybody does anyway. So, I mean, I don't see how I could have any input on it or whatever. Because I don't know what the street department does nowadays, don't know what water department does every day. They don't have a time card and punch in, punch out.
So,
As far as the money wise, I think we're in pretty good shape because we haven't lost that many people in the month we did lose. With the new many. That's in my opinion.
I do know that over the last, I'm thinking at least 3 years, there have been revisions to many, but not all of the job descriptions. I don't know that we have a binder or something with all the, I mean, I'm sure you've got something, but I think long-term having some type of job description in a consistent format with pay ranges and those types of things would be an output that we need to have eventually to do not have that all in place yet. Any other questions about that? Has anybody ever done this at their job? Their organizations ever done this?
I've been involved in some of this,
Yes,
and my experience with it has been lovely and never know. And if I have to, I can swallow $9,000. $1,000, so it's a lot. You have to put it into the eye and let it cash rates. And, you know, it doesn't, in my opinion, it's that they do anything brand new, they have a shrink. And then you get bam, bam, bam. And then Charlie forgot to come, and so they just put in a bang, bang, you know, and so I don't have a value card. And are we in a position where we need to do that, or is it a position that someone's selling something?
the person selling you something is your mayor. And the reason I'm asking for it is that I want to make sure that we are competitive, because I do not want to lose the team that we do have. I feel very strongly about my staff, and I want to make sure that those whose job descriptions haven't been touched since forever ago are actually looked at, and we call out what their proper duties are. And I think that there's been an evolution. I mean, just think about what Linda used to do versus what Brittany does today. I mean, it's a completely different scope. Stuff has come out of that position, stuff has gone into that position. If you think about the return on investment with that staff member, it's night and day comparatively from a community outreach perspective and economic development. So what I'm trying to do is make sure nothing falls through the cracks, and make sure that those who are doing X work are getting paid to do X work, and it's actually happening. So that's how I'm thinking about this.
My question would be, will the personnel committee be involved in any portion of this? I asked this because even last council meeting, we had brought up the process of hiring the new police chief. A lot of the councilmen were even begging how that even went about. I see this as an opportunity where we can gain a better understanding. But not so much about wages, but more so about benefit and hiring capabilities. I look at the last couple of months, we've had several new hires. We're getting ready to have another new hire. I think it's a good time to review.
From a perspective about the personnel committee's involvement, Randy is on the personnel committee, and as the president of council, that's why he specifically is participating in the chief interviews. Council President Wolf and Council Member Porter and I talked about the process, and I don't want to put words in your mouth. But you had indicated that you were comfortable with Council President Wolf participating in the interviews.
Yes.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure that stands. Okay. I love the idea of the Personnel Committee being involved with the project. If the committee is interested, I think it would be great to get visibility for the project and to get a little more elbow grease in there. That's a great idea. Thank you. Any other wages? Yeah,
Well, let me just add on to doing this and everything. I know having had to hire people in the past. It gives you a little more bite on hiring people. Because you have a description that says this is what they're supposed to do. And when I had people, when I ran the machine shop, I asked for machinists, and I had this people were like secretaries putting in job. And then they get mad because they don't get hired. And you say, well, here's what I said I wanted, and it's in the description, and that's how it was. And then also, we had talked about paying for education. The way we had worked at Boeing was, yeah, we'll pay for your education, but you're gonna say that you're gonna work 3 more years for me, or whatever, another year, 6 months or whatever, you gotta put a stipulation on there. You're not gonna pay someone to go to school and then they go get a job somewhere else. It helps a lot. That sounds mean, but it's not. So I think it's a good thing. It also gives you an idea on what everybody else is paying their people in a, you can tell them, I want a 50-mile radius, I want a 100-mile radius. And you can tell who's making what money anywhere. That's all jobs, not just the street department, not just, that's all jobs. Even the mayor.
Well, you're covering a lot more area. You say 50-mile radius. I can't think of anything that's even close to Hebron. You can't go Buckeye Lake, because Buckeye Lake, they don't pay them guys hardly anything. You go to Heath, well, yeah, they got a lot more people there.
Yeah.
So where are you going? I mean, they tried that years ago, saying, people here, and here make this much money. Okay, what does those people do, like in the public works? We used to be just a street department. What do we do compared to everybody else? Well, we bury people, you know, we dig them up, we've done everything like that. Nobody else touched that.
Okay.
Nobody. But yeah, we were almost at the bottom as far as getting paid wise.
Okay,
That's just one thing off the get-go. And as far as benefits, we get better. I thought we had good benefits when I was on. But now to me, it seems like they got better benefits, which everybody needs nowadays. I mean, you know, there for a while, our insurance was paid for by the town. Next thing you know, it wasn't paid for. We had to pay a part of it. And you got a quarter raise. Well, that quarter raise went to your pay for your insurance.
Is that when we were buying shoes and all that for
Well, it's
the
still
snow food?
But it's just, you know, I don't know. The equipment we used to have was, we repaired it a lot.
okay.
Nowadays, they got great repair, they got great equipment. And we had Italy and got paid less money. I don't know,
I think to me, from listening to what's being said there, that's a case for it. So that we can make sure that in our jobs descriptions, we're marrying those up with other jobs descriptions. So that we can see a valid, if the pay is assessed as it should be and the benefits are assessed as how it marries up to others. I would hope their job description would also be available too in the process of this.
And when we do that type of revision, where is the income stream coming from?
Could you be more specific? I'm sorry.
Where's the money coming to pay people?
Oh, with the changes, if there are changes, well, that would be,
If there are.
yeah, right.
Because that, I think, should be carefully weighed before we accept whatever might be the result of this, should we engage someone. Because if the money isn't there, it doesn't make any difference what's on the paper. And I think before we all get excited about we're going to this and this, well, what are our projected expenditures? Something to think about.
Yeah.
Don't promise what you can't deliver.
Any other observations or questions at this point? The second item, I just wanted to make sure that everyone understood that Council President Wolf is going to be involved in the interviews next week. And then we'll be hopefully making some decisions and eventually, hopefully shortly, an offer. And then throughout that process, I'd be interested in any other feedback that council members have. Any concerns or things that come to mind as you're reflecting on this critical role. Any questions or Anything I can answer about it?
How many, people put in for them?
It's gotta be close to 20, isn't it?
More than
Maybe
that.
more than that.
I would say probably 30.
Really? Close, I mean, people close by or are they?
There's a few close by, and then there are some that aren't.
Florida,
Yeah,
was it Utah or something?
no, not Utah.
There was something out.
I think the farthest one was maybe Florida, couple from Illinois. Kind of all around Ohio. Kind of just a mix,
Everywhere.
but there's, I would say the majority was fairly low. Maybe not local to like right
Right.
here, but
Ohio.
central Ohio.
Is there a cutoff or a target of what you're actually gonna consider out of 30? Plus,
Well, I can tell you that my read on the resumes, I think you and I were aligned. There were definitely multiple tiers. I would say in my brain, there were probably 6 or 7 levels. I was probably a little more analytical with
No,
number
I
scale.
would agree.
Okay, and the top tier, there were 2 excellent candidates, so that's what we're starting with. I will say, I think we were. Well, I think we were very lucky with the candidate pool that we got.
We're very fortunate, but you can't say so.
Yes,
We have, it's a good problem to have.
yeah. Any other questions I can answer or concern?
Wasn't too long ago when things sort of down in the mouth about how little they were paid. We were just in turnstile, we got people made move on. So a few years later, found another too bad. So what do you suppose changed that? I think some of it comes from violence and violence in larger communities. And people that want to stay there, and they don't full well of their benefits and their years of service will transfer to this system in Ohio. So they're not losing anything as far as retirement goes. And maybe it'll be a nice change of pace. And maybe they checked the finances of the village and found out that it was all. That would be a surprise for some people in these big communities that are operating on the deficit. So there's all kinds of ways to look at the motivation for people to change jobs. And I think one thing that's indicative of the village, this village, is that, people do not do at this time, moving to this, that's not a requirement to move, and I understand that, once upon a time it was. And, I think they might just enjoy sure a pace. And if the incomes from the survey are just our minimum figures are equal to or close to, there's a lot to be said for that. And so like, well, I'm gonna go lose $2,000. It's a big deal. You know, I gotta move here to get the cost of living, but theoretically be this. So, that's what they're really thinking. But I think there is some merit in what I said and why, because there were times, as you will recall, that village police was, maybe others were kind of unhappy. We might be unhappy, but you still can't, we can't provide salary benefits without having the wherewithal that you're responsible.
Now, my recollection might be a little different. I've only been around for 5 years, right? As far as watching the goings on here. I know when I first came in, there was an agreement put in place with the police to ratchet them up over, I want to say like a 3-year period. And it was different than what was negotiated or not negotiated, what was made available to the rest of the staff. And then in their last year, they were slated to go up maybe 2 or 3%, but everyone else got a different amount that was higher, so they went up that way as well. So police ratcheted more quickly than the rest of the staff. And I do think that that has made it easier for us to keep the talent that we are able to get in the door. Yeah.
We still lost a few, though, I mean, it's just like the fire department, you know, back in County of Hebron. We had the same trouble, he had the same trouble, but everybody was going to Westlake. Well, now everybody Westlake, a lot of are going on up farther, Florence. But, yeah, I mean, they're all, everybody's gonna change, it's up to an individual.
You can't get away from that.
You'll never get away from it, that's what I've always said, that you'll never get away from it.
I think some people felt as though we were lower. Even in, maybe even in reputation, the side of the law, people with law. But then if you don't have the drive 40 route, then 40 back, that's the pay raise right there.
There's the difference.
I'm glad that they did not significantly respond.
Yes, yeah. Any other questions or?
Comment of another issue. Route 37 detour. Some of it is in Hebron Township. Village. It's not the main road, it's not. Okay. Okay. And I'll draw. I thought right now it was city village property. Where notes that oversized vehicles and semis.
As far as move on Canyon, you mean, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Which is a big, huge safety concern.
Well, technically, yes. What do you think, a quarter of a mile of canyon is in the village?
Yeah, just.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
that sort of bit.
Yeah,
That's it.
go ahead.
My concern was the safety. I had some people come to me asking about it because they've encountered it today. Of oversized semis taking that route, and as small as it is. Is there any signage that we can write there to, at least on our portion of the village, say? Not a thoroughfare for oversized?
If they get that far, it's too late. It's really the township that ought to have something out at 37 and Refugee and out at 37 and probably 16, telling them do not come this way. Once they get that far, it's too late. And same issue with Thornwood Drive. Once they're to our portion, it's not like they could turn around. Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything that we can do as far as, since it's ODOT, it's doing 37. If there's any,
Signage maybe they don't.
well, anything we can turn around and say, hey, you tore up our roads and you got it blocked off. Help us out here, parts. Hey, they'll probably look at it and laugh, but basically that's what they're doing. That's that.
That is correct.
Could we ask about it? If you look at the Refugee,
Yep,
37.
I can definitely do some, yeah. Yeah.
It's going down through there, is that on Beaver Run, they've got a weight limit sign. I think out there with one of them, Canyon, Beaver Run, and one of them's got a weight limit sign for. I fall under the bridge.
For the Brick Beaver.
Yeah, there's a, yeah. Right, yeah, there's a weight limit on the bridge, and also make some limits in terms of number of the axles as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be one restriction, I mean, that would be something you'd have to post up by 37.
Yeah.
The connector, because you can't go where Beaver Run connects in the phone, where the D292.
ODOT have to do it, that's the thing.
Yeah,
So the township ought to have done it on that.
well, yeah, keep them smashing their culverts down, especially right there at Beaver Run and Canyon, that one's been washed away how many times.
Yeah, it's concrete.
Refugee at both sides now, all, and ours is tender today. And it's bad as what doing of this history here, but look how long it took to do that, not both sides of But having real semis responsible. By the way, we're talking about areas, is a big community action on trying to do remedy the problem of that ditch alongside that's what you wrote that was involved in the fatality.
Yes, we are working with the engineering firm right now. We're trying to figure out if it can ultimately be piped.
Yes.
Meaning covering the whole thing with dirt and creating a large enough pipe structure. That would be in tandem with the overflow. Yeah, that nobody could drive down into because it'd be covered in dirt. But you can imagine that would be a multi-year project and it depends upon this overflow channel. Getting into this, right?
That's right.
So this is going to be a multi-year.
Back to remedy, trying to think of, but don't look for any time soon.
Yeah, I don't see us.
Still talking years.
Yes, yes. But I will say, we've been, we just talked about it today in our executive leadership meeting about keeping in touch with the family. And making sure that everybody is okay and we're moving forward and it hasn't fallen off the radar. Does it most certainly it's not.
Be very important. You're glad to hear that that's being done because that communication factor is very, very important. So it gives the message of the paper.
I believe your bypass ditch will take care of a little bit of that, ease it a little where your flow won't be as much.
That is the whole idea, that's correct, and then the other part is that. That road improvement is funded by Microsoft, so we have to be cognizant how much they're willing to. So that's what Mayor is saying, is a multi-year process, because Microsoft may fund their portion, but we need to come up with the other, funding for the remaining sections, yeah.
And this may be something that we ultimately try to leverage our relationships with our state representatives and state senator and the commissioners and try to get folks on board to do it together. I mean, they can cut the ribbon. I don't care, I'll be in the back row. The whole point is to
Yeah.
get it fixed, so.
Licking County with your water runoff.
Yeah.
Does the diversion ditch, does it run east or west of the Canyon Road?
It runs south along the canyon extension. And then back behind,
So is it,
Yep.
and where Canyon Refugee is now? Is it on the east side? or
It's it's on the west side, it's gonna be branching off, you got the existing ditch and then there's another diversion southbound.
but the south dip found runs along the east side.
Along the west
West
side
side.
of the new extension, and then there's a culvert underneath it, take it over here.
We should have a roundabout there.
We are going to.
We're going to have a roundabout at the refuge in Kenyon.
You're getting, most of your water is from the east side.
It would flow to the
Yeah.
east. I mean.
Doesn't
from the west.
that go under Canyon?
It goes, yeah.
Well, you'll intercept it before it goes under. It'll come down the west side before it goes under Canyon.
Okay, well, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, it
I'm
would
trying
be
to,
from the west.
so the diversion culvert will be on the west side of the roundabout.
Yes. It's correct.
But you're still using the other one
Existing ditch.
too.
Yeah, to some degree.
The-
You have to, well, to a point,
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is that that's where you're getting 90% of the water is off the hill from Justice and there.
Agreed.
Very soon we'll have what engineering called a phase one drawing. We can show you what the what proposed plan looks like.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then the only other thing I got, since you brought that up, is, we need to clean all the drainage
it's correct.
everywhere,
Yep.
through town, and all of a sudden.
Absolutely.
If you go look right now at the corner of Canyon and Refugee, you can see corn stalks, got that one blocked up big time. It's been that way
for a
Oh,
while, since at least the last season.
it's been a long time ago.
Any other topic for discussions?
Yeah, one thing. Over at Canal Park. And, you got, in the shelter house, you got 3 wooden picnic tables. The 2 that are reddish colored, those are kind of rotting away and they're pretty splintery. They probably need replaced. And the other wood one's okay, but
Okay.
be nice to have get those out, have at least 2 new ones in there or something, but
Sure.
it's possible.
Yep, we can make it happen.
And I think if someone would run an electric line over to those. The railroad lights over there. I could get those railroad lights. I want to do that, someone run electric over there.
Okay.
You know, there's a bell on the top of that.
Yeah,
Does that seem like a good idea?
that's,
Why not?
Turning on the lights?
No, whenever you have like a Halloween or a party or something like that over
we had
there.
kids break
I mean,
it.
you can put it on a lock switch or something. You have kids give you a quarter to turn it on or something.
So we'll look at those tables, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
One thing. I'm sorry, am I premature or are you finished?
What's that?
Are you finished with your, what?
Yeah,
you bring
sure.
up? Okay, I've been reading about the movement of the trash receptacles over here to. I don't know where else to put it, but it seems to me that not an awful lot of people are gonna drive out there to get rid of their stuff. So I think that needs to be a backup someplace.
The Infirmary Mount Park. No, I'm not, it's not a joke. The Infirmary Mount Park and out the Union Township, is my
So-
understanding.
The point is to get folks from bringing all their recycling into the heart of the village, and instead, village residents have curbside. So that's the direction we're going in.
Yeah.
So our residents no longer will have to drive their recycling anywhere. That's the goal. And those who come in from the township to bring in their recycling can keep it out in the township and take it to Infirmary Park or take it to the Union Township building. So that's the goal, is to get folks out of the business of driving it into the heart of our village and having that monstrosity pile.
We have a lot come from Millersport. They come right down Canal Road, do it and go right on to Kroger's.
We've been over there,
And get more.
Penny and I's been over power washing the gazebo and the shelter house and all that, and
Thank you for.
I've been
doing that.
watching. And I'm not kidding you, there's every 15 minutes there's someone over there dumping stuff.
Yep.
I've seen contractors over there dumping all their cardboard. I've
Yep.
seen, and I'm not making this up, there's 2 shopping carts over there right now.
Huh.
I'm glad to see it go, but I don't like it to go. I hate seeing all that mattresses and
Mm,
everything over there.
Yeah.
And those guys can dump that twice a week and it fills up.
Yep.
Mhm.
I've noticed a huge increase in the traffic down that. The walkway that you guys made.
Oh.
Every time I drive, I see groups of people. Big increase on that.
We rode our bikes the whole way.
Mhm.
It is nice.
It's real
Mhm.
nice.
Anything else?
One thing,
Oh, yeah.
we
Okay.
did have, we did have water at the end of Hamilton again last night. Was it last night or the night before?
From back to forth.
Yeah, the ditch isn't full, not even and it is his corner by his house, that was all flooded again. I mean, not to where it needed the high water sign, but yeah,
Okay.
it seems like it's getting worse, so I don't know what.
That's insane.
I did have
It's
one
just-
more request.
The thing is, we knew. I thought we had funding for that project to go on up Warden Street and down. To the creek. Is that done now or,
I don't know, but I had to find that out. Yeah.
I mean, the one guy down there with. The lot right close to the creek here, he didn't wanna sell property or didn't want him to cross it or
That's-
something,
yeah.
and I never heard no more.
That didn't materialize.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he decided, he backed out. He was, yeah, CJ's been talking to him, trying to convince him to sell the property, but he decided not to,
Okay,
yeah.
Maybe a visit by the residents might help.
But hopefully with the MI project, we can do some creative thinking in terms of the storm drain.
Yeah.
The other thing I had, we get a trash can over to the gazebo. We got one at the shelter house. People are mean, they leave all their crap just laying around and. Someone went over and had their lunch and left all their stuff over there, and I'm just like, they're too lazy to walk 100 feet to the other trash can.
we used to have one over there and somebody kept throwing it in the creek, back when I was home. They kept throwing it in the
Well-
creek, so we deposited, put 2 of them in the shelter
I
house.
mean, it'd be nice to have like cameras on everything, but anyway, that's the way it works. But, and I will say that I see where it's advertised to have the 4th of July fireworks and it'd be at the canal. I've been over there today and I kind of look over to where they're gonna launch. Yeah, it's a really good spot. You can sit right in the shelter house and it's ideal, real.
And good to meet. Yeah, we'll take a look at actually that you had to gazebo. We don't have any visitor comments?
Keep it.
I'm going to ask for the motion to adjourn this meeting. Okay, we have a motion to adjourn the meeting, made by Councilwoman Porter and then Councilman Carpenter. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Wolf.
Yes.
Mrs. Sanders. Yes. Mr. Carpenter.
Yes.
Mauer.
Yes.
Mrs. Porter.
Yes.
Thank you. Meeting's adjourned.